Hi, my name is Courtney Carter, and this is my presentation on high-functioning autism spectrum disorder, namely Asperger's syndrome. Our agenda today is we're going to define what Asperger's is, what the characteristics of Asperger's is, the prevalence of it, what population it mainly resides in, resources for additional information, strategies for teaching a child with Asperger's, and then at the end we'll have some open-ended discussion questions and multiple choice quiz. So what is high functioning autism spectrum disorder? It's characterized by challenges in social interactions. Children with this disorder can also display behaviors such as restrictive, repetitive patterns. There are multiple disorders that are associated to autism spectrum disorder, and individuals can be categorized by the following. It can be low functioning or high functioning, or namely Asperger's for high functioning. That's what my disorder is. Less is known about the psychological, social, and adaptive outcomes of those with high functioning ASD because their intellectual functioning is typically in the normal range, so their intellect is usually normal with their age range. Because of this, many students with HFASD can attend general education classrooms. Some characteristics of Asperger's. Children with this disorder are at risk for being socially isolated by their peers due to the severity of their social skills limitations. They also have mood problems such as anxiety and depression. Individuals also have unusual special interest and a tendency toward ritualized routines, so typically have OCD with it as well. They don't display typical nonverbal behaviors such as eye contact, facial expressions, body postures, and normal gestures one would display in a social interaction, so they lack nonverbal behaviors typically. They do not develop friendships with those of their ages, usually. They lack the desire to share enjoyment, interest, or achievement with others, so they lack joint attention and lack social or emotional reciprocity. The prevalence of Asperger's is in children, estimated 0.02% to 0.3%. It's far more common in boys than girls, 8-to-1 ratio, so you can see it's a lot more common in boys. Representative studies of the prevalence in adults are currently lacking. However, since the core symptoms of Asperger's syndrome persist throughout a person's lifetime, we can assume that Asperger's is probably not much less common in adults. Here are some additional resources on Asperger's. I heard the Marcus organization is a big one. I've heard of that. And then just some additional resources for family and friends to get more information. Helpful teaching strategies. Some students with Asperger's can focus on one subject. Like I said, they hone in on unusual interest, and they might find it hard to concentrate on other areas. Using visual cues to help them stay on task is recommended. So, for example, you could use a yellow warning card when you feel the child is not staying focused. They also have very specific interests they obsess over, such as movie quotes, trains, or sports statistics, to name a few. As a teacher, you could incorporate some of these things in your teaching when it is appropriate to help keep them focused. You can also teach your other students about Asperger's so they are knowledgeable of what's going on and they don't just assume that they're weird or something, and they can see that there's something mentally wrong with them, and can help you recognize when a meltdown's occurring and can help calm the child down and to prevent bullying from happening. You can also keep your language clear and concise and slow. Speak at a slow, deliberate pace. Children with Asperger's do not understand abstract concepts such as sarcasm or recognize facial expressions. So, their pragmatic skills are low. And you can praise the child when they do something right and be specific about what they're doing that's right, because, like I said, they don't understand concepts or other things, so you have to be very clear and concise. Here's some open-ended discussion questions. Why do you feel it's important to educate other students on disabilities, specifically HFASD, in the classroom? What are some characteristics of HFASD? And what is it? What is the teaching strategy you can implement for a child with Asperger's, like I discussed before? Here's the multiple choice quiz. First one, characteristics a child with Asperger's would display are hugging other students, laughing at jokes, avoids eye contact and lacks facial expressions, and starts a conversation with a peer. Obviously, the answer is C because they don't tend to have the normal nonverbal behaviors. What population is Asperger's predominantly prevalent in? A, boys, B, girls, C, adults, D, both A and C. Obviously, it's A. It's more prevalent in boys. And what is something you can do in the classroom to get a child with Asperger's to focus on? Snap your fingers, yell at them, call them out in class, use visual cues. Like I discussed before, visual cues are more helpful for children with Asperger's. And here are my references, and that is my presentation. Thank you.